She lived to be about 108. She was just so snarky. She would tell it like it was. She just didn't mince words. She didn't candy coat things. She was just blunt and to the point. She was hard of hearing as well as had a hard time seeing. So I gave her a presentation with big bolded letters, had the caricature already drawn up, and she sat there silently and read through it and looked at me a couple times like I was nuts, and then set the paper down and said, "I love it. Do it."
From northern Colorado, right there between the rolling plains and the Rocky Mountains, this is the Greeley Business Beat. Just your friendly, neighborly corner booth conversations with the incredible humans behind the businesses and local attractions that make Greeley, well, great. Join us as we dive into stories of the people and places that make up the very fabric of our community. Whether you're Greeley born and raised or just passing through, we promise to pull back the curtains on some of our favorite community gems and introduce you to the neighbors who make this place special.
I'm Becca Vaklovic, your host today for the Greeley Business Beat. Everyone has that one person in their family who is as much of an icon as they are a family member. Whether it's sitting around the table at the holidays or the person you always want to go visit who's known for their sense of humor and their wacky advice and their outlandish personality. Right here in Greeley, we have Great Aunt Helen, and Aimee Hutson, owner of Aunt Helen's Café and Wine Bar, can tell you all about Helen, the real woman, and why she inspired the start of Aimee's business. Aimee, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, tell me about yourself. Tell us about the store.
Well, Aimee Hutson and my husband and I own the store in downtown Greeley on the corner of 8th and 8th. We've been in business for I think it'll be 8 years or maybe 9 this March. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So Aunt Helen's the business is relatively young, all things considered. Aunt Helen, the woman, had quite a bit of longevity. So tell us about Aunt Helen.
She did. She lived to be about 108. She died in 2020 during the pandemic, not from COVID, but more from the lack of interaction and kind of loneliness set in, which I know happened to a lot of elderly folks. But she just sort of declined. And I think she got to the point where she just thought, you know what, I've had a good life. It's just time to go. So she passed pretty peacefully. It was hard on all of us, but it's also one of those things it was such a blessing to have her for so many years.
And tell me about her. Why name your business after her? What makes her so extraordinary?
So she had a big impact on me growing up. She lived on the East Coast and would fly into Colorado and stay with my family for the summer. And every summer we would load up in an orange camper van. You can see the painting above the barista bar at Aunt Helen's. And I would be trapped in that van with her and my family for 3 months at a time. So if you can imagine being, 8, 9, 10 years old, the last thing you want to do on your summer vacation is, drive around the country. We went to every single state in the United States and then also Canada. My parents were both educators, so they had summers off and they thought this was a splendid way to educate their children
and
about
they're
the
not
United
wrong.
States.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was just miserable. All I could wait for was, does the hotel have a pool? That was all I would ask. But during that time, getting to know Aunt Helen and just the remarkable, strong woman that she was, especially, she was born, the same year the Titanic sank. And to have that kind of tenacity and strength as a woman, I just always admired it. And she really was a big role model for me. I mean, she's only married 20 years, which she said was the secret to a long life. But yeah, she just was courageous and way ahead of her time. So I always admired that about her.
Yeah. So we just got a hint of her snark.
Oh, yes.
Her short marriage led to her long life.
Yes.
Tell me about that side of her, because I know it has influenced the brand of your entire business.
Right. She was just so snarky. She would tell it like it was. I remember when I was a little girl, I was interviewing for the Colorado Ballet. And as I was walking out the door, she said, "Don't forget, there'll always be somebody better." So, great.
Thank you for the vote of confidence.
Thanks. Appreciate that. So it was just those kind of things. She just didn't mince words. She didn't candy coat things. She was just blunt and to the point, which, was hard at times. We spent a lot of times apologizing for things that she would say to people. But it was always truthful and it was always honest. And that was another one of her strengths, was her integrity and her honesty.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what led to you starting the business, coming to Greeley, setting up shop downtown?
Well, I'll tell you, Bob and I, my husband, were out to dinner with some friends and we happened to walk by the space that blushes it right now. And we had just left dinner, I think at the Bright Coast Pizza, and I was working a full-time job, was unhappy in my position. And we walked by it and I looked at it and I said, Bob, this would be a great place to have a coffee shop. And I said, and we should call it Aunt Helen's because everybody has an Aunt Helen. And so that's kind of where the dream began.
And how can Aunt Helen be felt in the business? I know she's all over the menu, so tell me more about that.
She's all over the menu. The snarkiness, all the menu items are sayings and phrases that I remember her saying, like the cat's pajamas. She used to say, don't you think you're the cat's pajamas today? Things like that. So we just, actually my sister, my brother, and I sat around one afternoon after drinking lots of wine and talking about Aunt Helen, and we started writing down a lot of the names and the things that she said. So that's kind of where some of it came from. And then my husband got to know her pretty well. She moved here when she was 90. And so in that time, he got to know her pretty well, too. So he was able to chirp in and chime in on some of the funniness of Aunt Helen.
I love that. Yeah, for most people, 90 is the tail end of their life. And she still had 18 years.
18 years.
In Greeley.
18 great years in Greeley.
Love that. So what have been some of your challenges as a small business owner in Greeley as you've found your space and gotten your footing?
A lot of the challenges we face are the lack of population in the evenings down here. That is a big thing, is how do we get people from West Greeley to get downtown? And that's been more of an issue for the Café and Wine Bar. During the day, we have a steady stream of business professionals, so it doesn't, affect us that much. But it's mostly the evenings of, how do you get West Greeley downtown and experience how magnificent it is and all of the things that these restaurants and bars are doing to create a great experience for people.
So do you regret, you said you were sort of unhappy in your professional life when you started to daydream. Do you regret leaving behind your traditional job?
No.
That's simple as that.
Not at all. I was also in education. I ran before and after school programs for over 20 years. Loved the kids, did not so much love the parents. So it was
a real Aunt Helen kind of answer.
It wasn't. I'm sorry. In your honor, Aunt Helen.
It's totally honest. Yeah.
But it became something that it wasn't. In the 20 years, it evolved into something a little bit different. So I was thrilled to follow my dream of owning my own business and proving to myself that I could do it. And with the help of my husband and the community, it really has become something that we are all quite proud of.
Have you always had an entrepreneur's spirit?
I have. I come from a long line of business owners. So my grandfather was a rancher. My other grandfather owned grocery stores. My great-grandparents owned furniture stores and newspapers. And so a long line of that. My parents were kind of the stopover with going to a secure job in education. But yeah, when I look back, my family always had had that spirit.
Yeah, you've got it on both sides. Your career has been influenced in many ways by your family.
Yes, very much so.
Wonderful. So tell me, what's your favorite thing on the menu by day and by night? Yeah, two menus.
Probably by day, I would have to say the quinoa bowl, the pesto chicken, just because it's something unique and different. And then in the evening, it's anything with vodka. I'm a vodka girl. I'm just going to put it out there.
That's great.
It's got vodka. I'm drinking it.
Yeah, love that. What are some of the challenges you've faced as a business owner over the years? What are some of the things you've learned in 8 years in downtown Greeley?
The one thing, obviously the pandemic was a huge challenge, but also what that taught me and all of us was that pivoting, we're a lot better at it. I'm a lot better at it. This didn't work. Try something different. Also stress. The things that used to be super stressful now are just, okay, we can get through it. So those are some of the things, the growth during that time that really happened for all of us and, just made it so we knew we could get through it. And that was a big thing is, are we going to survive? Will we be open on the other side of this? And there were days that we really, truly didn't believe so. We had the bakery at that time too. We had purchased batter up cakes prior to the pandemic. And I'll never forget the guy we were signing the lease with. The gentleman said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And Bob and I said, "Oh, it'll be a 2-week thing. We'll be fine." Well, 3 years later.
Fine.
Yeah. So we did end up closing the bakery, which is now Stella's, which is a great addition to downtown. But yeah, so we just had to make sure that Aunt Helen's would survive because that truly was our first love and we just wanted it to make it. So
what were some of the ways you got creative during the pandemic that kept those doors open?
You bet. So catering. I had never really done catering, and now it is really a full-time job for me, and I have a catering team. So it forced us to get outside of what we would normally do, start delivering food, start getting creative where we can commissary kitchens to do large amounts, groups of 500. Our largest has been 1,800 people.
Wow.
So yeah, it really opened a whole new door and made us get creative and know that there's another source of income that can help the bills when times are tough.
What a pivot to you're running after school programs. You're an educator, and 8 years later, you're serving 1,800 people.
Yes, it is crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun stories, days where you've gone, this is exactly what I envisioned for this business. This is what I hoped it would be?
No.
No. It's never what you would expect.
It's never what you expect. I will say this. The one thing that sometimes I'm in awe is when I walk in, in the morning and there's all these people in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget Aunt Helen coming in and sitting there and looking around and said, "Do you know everybody? Do you know all these people here?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And she's like, "Really?" But, just walking in and seeing the cafe full and it's not people that I necessarily know, that really gives me great pride to know that people enjoy it that don't know me.
Right.
That aren't there for us.
Right. So there you go, Aunt Helen. They're strangers and they're supporting
and
the
they're
business.
Still here.
Yeah. What did she like about the business when you told her, hey, we're calling this place Aunt Helen's?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was wonderful. She was hard of hearing as well as had a hard time seeing. So I gave her a presentation with big bolded letters, had the caricature already drawn up, and she sat there silently and read through it and looked at me a couple times like I was nuts, and then set the paper down and said, "I love it. Do it."
That's great. High praise.
I was really worried that she wouldn't like the caricature, this of her, but she thought it was funny. She thought it was hysterical. So
that's great. That's wonderful. I know one of the things I've always admired about your business is the way you have invested in the community around you. Before I had ever had an Aunt Helen's coffee, I went to Festival of Trees and you had your giant full-size mug tree with Aunt Helen peeking out of the
Jumping
top.
out of it, yes.
Yeah. Tell me about the ways y'all have gotten involved in the community and supported one another in Greeley.
Well, I think it's the community and the support that we get from the community that keeps us moving forward in that direction. It is so hard to explain to people who aren't from Greeley what Greeley is and to understand the strength of community. It's like a small town in a big city. Everybody helps each other. Everybody pulls each other up. We really saw that during the pandemic. Honestly, we had businesses in downtown just coming in and giving us a check and wanting nothing in return. Just, here's some money for rent. Let us know what we can do. The landlord suspended our rent for as long as we needed. Just those kind of things. We all work together so much here. It's just amazing to me. We had a gentleman from Larimer County. We were catering at the Welcome Center, and the Welcome Center team and I were discussing things with him, and he was saying, "Can we do this? Can we do that?" And we're like, yes, yes, yes. And he kind of paused for a minute and he said, "Wow, it really is true what people say about you and Greeley and Fort Collins." And I thought, oh gosh, wait for it, wait for it. And I said, "I'm not sure I want to hear that." And he said, "No, you guys are known as a GSD community." And I said, GSD, and it stands for Get Stuff Done.
Sure.
So we are known as in other places as a Get Stuff Done community. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I feel like a lot of us business owners here in the city are those kind of people. It's, nobody else is going to do it, so we're going to do it.
Right. I love that. And it clearly has worked.
Yes.
It's working. It's happening. You're expanding. And that's really exciting. I think community is only as powerful as what you put into it. You put in what you get back.
I agree.
You must be taking very good care of your customers if then when you are facing the sort of difficulties a pandemic brings, that then they turn around and say, okay, you've provided us with such a wonderful caliber of our customer experience that here's a check, just take our money.
It was incredible. I said, "I can't really take this." And he said, "Yes, you can. Just please don't close." And we had a couple, maybe 5 or 6 private businesses that helped us. It was just remarkable.
And I'm sure now you're paying it forward.
Yes, definitely.
Taking care of one another.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead, we know Greeley is expected to just grow exponentially in terms of our population. How do you picture Aunt Helen's growing with it? Are you always going to be in the same location? Is that your hub? Or
absolutely.
Do you have a vision for different things?
I don't see Aunt Helen's ever moving. The community here is too meaningful for us, and we just enjoy it so much. I see Aunt Helen's growing, maybe opening another location sometime down the line, but I feel like as Greeley grows, there'll just be more opportunity for nightlife and more opportunities for people to do things downtown. My absolute dream would be to see more nice housing in downtown Greeley. I would love to have a loft down here so that I could just walk to work, those kind of things. That would be my dream fast forwarding. And it sounds like there's quite quite a bit of motion in that direction. So it's very exciting for us, being fairly new, only eight years down here, to see how much that the whole community as a whole is trying to make that happen.
Yeah. If it makes you feel better, that is my dream as well.
Awesome.
We recently did a housing survey in the city, and I put in the comments, I don't know if there's a market for this for anyone except me, but I want like cool apartments downtown that I briefly lived in New York City, and I'm trying to figure out how to have my New York City dreams with the Greeley community.
Yes,
and
walking everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, I totally get that. All right, really quickly, we're going to do some of our rapid fire questions. Okay. Do you prefer wine over cocktails?
Cocktails.
Caffeinated or decaffeinated?
Oh, decaffeinated's not even a thing. Are you kidding?
It's a lie.
Caffeinated.
It's a trade secret. It's a sham. It is all,
yeah.
Okay. I know that y'all do a lot of small plates at Aunt Helen's with meat or just fruit and cheese. What's your perfect small plate?
With meat. Yeah.
With meat. Yeah. That's a good Greeley.
Rancher girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good Greeley answer. Are you more of a morning bird or a night owl? Which side of Aunt Helen's business speaks to you?
I am more of a night owl, which was another thing Bob said. You sure you want to open a coffee shop? You hate getting up in the morning. And I'm like, I have people for that.
Yes. We'll hire out. We'll hire out. And then you're like, please, can we please open up after hours?
I do actually ask most of the people I interview for a job, are you a morning person? Good, because I'm not.
Yeah. Winter or summer?
Oh, probably winter.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like getting hot.
Fair. Totally fair.
Yeah.
And do you take your coffee hot or do you take your coffee iced?
Always iced.
Always iced.
Yes.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's hot. A little bit of both.
Usually iced.
I just drink a lot of coffee, so it depends on the time of day.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. All right. One last question before you go. We're seeing a lot of small business owners really try to find their roots and find their community in Greeley. What advice do you have for folks who are just getting started opening up a business here in town?
I think my biggest advice would be, use the community resources that are available to you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to pivot. Don't stay set in your ways because everything changes on a dime all the time. And have a good sense of humor. Be able to laugh at yourself as well as
you might live to be 108.
You might live to be 108.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is possible.
Yeah, so wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Like what you're hearing on the Greeley Business Beat? Do us a favor and share this episode. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and be sure to leave a review. We'll be rounding up businesses and attractions each month, so sit back, tune in, and we'll be dishing up the stories that make Greeley great. The Greeley Business Beat is a production of the City of Greeley in collaboration with 1K Creative. Greeley is one of the few spots in Colorado that combines the best of everything the state has to offer. Beautiful vistas, deep agricultural roots, easy access to the outdoors, and a vibrant and friendly community. Learn more at visitgreeley.com. And until next time, stay connected to the heart of Greeley.